Welcome, everyone. Today, we're going to journey together into the 7th juz of the Quran. And it's a part that asks a really crucial question. What happens after you've found faith? This is where belief meets the real world, the world of consequence.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. You know, right at the very heart of this juz, the Quran just stops and poses this incredibly profound question, one that cuts right through all the noise of our lives. Do the choices you make, the things you believe in, do they actually matter?
And the answer that comes back is so direct, so uncompromising. We're not talking about some abstract symbolic idea here.
No, it's not just a nice metaphor, a story we tell ourselves to feel better. It's so much more real than that. Your choices matter consequentially. See, this juz really sharpens the truth that faith isn't just some passive identity we inherit. It's an active, living, accountable relationship with reality itself. So, you might be asking, how do we even get to this point of understanding? Well, the first big theme we see in Juz 7 is that this process of clarification, of making the truth clear, isn't some harsh divine test. It's actually a profound act of God's mercy.
And you can see this mercy unfolding in these beautiful ways. God sees and acknowledges sincerity even when it's hidden in the humblest of hearts. He grants signs, like the famous story of the table spread, not to corner people, but to reassure their seeking hearts. And so importantly, He confronts the distortions that can creep into faith over time, gently purifying our understanding and bringing us back to that simple, powerful center, the absolute oneness of God. It's a path of cleansing, what we call tazkiyah, for the heart. And this reveals this deep spiritual principle at the very core of Juz 7. God's mercy, these signs, His clarification, they aren't just free passes. They're actually invitations to a higher level of personal responsibility.
It's not random. There's a really deliberate progression happening here. First, it starts with recognition, when a sincere heart is seen. Then comes revelation, these signs that are given. That leads to clarification, stripping away all the falsehoods. And what's the final unavoidable step? Accountability. The path is made so incredibly clear that our choice becomes a fully conscious one.
And this leads us right into Surah Al-Anʿām, which honestly has one of the most powerful and logical arguments for the core of all truth, the radical, absolute oneness of God, which we know as Tawheed.
So what is Tawheed? Well, it's the bedrock of our faith. It's that simple yet infinitely profound declaration that there is only one Creator, only one sustainer, only one ultimate reality that's worthy of our worship and our love. Everything, and I mean everything else, is creation. And what's amazing here is that Surah Al-An'am doesn't just ask for blind faith. It builds a case, a logical, rational case. It asks us to look at all the other things we might be tempted to put in God's place. You know, wealth, status, power, even our own egos. And it just systematically dismantles their claim to being worthy of that devotion.
The argument starts with the most basic question of all. Can any of these things create? Can they bring something into existence from absolute nothing? And the answer, of course, is a clear, resounding no. Then it asks, okay, can they sustain you? Can they provide the very air you're breathing right now, the water you drink, the beat of your own heart? Again, no, they can't.
And finally, can these things that we attach ourselves to, can they truly benefit you or harm you, independent of God's will? They're powerless. They hold zero ultimate authority over your existence. The Quran's argument here is just so simple, so elegant, and really irrefutable.
Okay, so if the truth of Tawheed is that clear, that logical, then why do we resist it? And this is where the Juz turns the lens inward, and it reveals a pretty uncomfortable truth about our own souls, our nafs. You know, our inner self, the nafs, it often prefers the shadows. It actually finds a strange kind of comfort in ambiguity, in half-belief. Why? Because as long as things are a little foggy, we can put off the real work of change. But the Quran just keeps pushing back. It insists on the dignity of our choice, on our role as real moral agents in the world, and on the fact that what we know has consequences. It's calling us out of that gray area and into the clear light of accountability. And this isn't just some ancient lesson. It holds up a really powerful mirror to our modern lives, where the biggest danger to our faith isn't always a loud, outright rejection. Sometimes, it's just a quiet postponement.
Do any of these sound familiar? I'll get around to it later. Oh, I'm still on my journey, still exploring. Now, of course, these can be very sincere statements, but the Quran gently nudges us to check our hearts. Are we sincerely exploring? Or are we maybe just using these phrases to stay in that comfy zone of ambiguity, avoiding the real transformation that clarity is asking of us?
And all of this leads to the one piercing question that this Juzz just leaves echoing in your heart after all the signs in the universe, in Revelation, in your own soul. Really, how many more signs are we waiting for?
So, what do we do with all this? What do we do with this clarity? Well, the Quran never leaves us with just a heavy question. It always offers a path forward. And here, it's a gentle practice for the heart, a way to start acting on what we already know to be true.
Here's a beautiful little practice we can try, maybe even tonight. First, just reflect. What's a truth that I know but I'm kind of conveniently ignoring? Second, act on it. Take just one small practical step to align yourself with that truth. Third, renew your shahada, your testimony of faith, not just as a habit but with your full heart and mind present. Fourth, release one thing. It could be material or emotional, that you know is a false attachment holding you back. And finally, and this is maybe the most important step, pray. Ask God not just for certainty, but for ikhlas, for pure sincerity in your search for Him.
And so we arrive at the final, transformative takeaway from all of this. The Quran has made its case, the signs have been shown, the mercy has been extended. The responsibility now shifts entirely to us. The question isn't, is the truth clear anymore? The real question is, what are you going to do with it?
Faith is an active choice, a daily turning of the heart towards the light. And God's justice is so perfect. You are not held accountable for what was hidden from you, but for the truth that you recognized, and then chose to either embrace or to turn away from. Ya Allah, O God, we ask you for hearts that are soft and receptive to your truth. Grant us the sincerity to act upon the clarity you give us, and the courage to let go of our excuses. Please accept this small reflection from us and forgive all of our shortcomings. Ameen.
This explainer was compiled with gratitude by Munir Ali Shah, who is a fellow seeker sharing reflections through the Living the Wisdom of the Quran podcast. We ask for forgiveness and acceptance for any errors, especially any mispronunciations that might happen through AI. Thank you so much for joining me today.